Good evening. A man was shot by police at a Brampton apartment complex after the officers got a call about a family dispute.
The problem is the Special Investigation Unit says the man was armed with a knife. He was injured, but will survive. CTV's Allison Hurst is on the scene this hour and joins us live with more details. Allison.
Nathan, in the last hour or so, police have cleared the front of the building, but there are still 2 officers stationed outside of the unit on the 6th floor, and that's where police confirm the interaction and shooting happened.
Can you please get off? Just move it, please.
Peel police blocked the driveway, asking for proof residents live there before granting access to this apartment building.
I heard some bang, but I don't know, what was it?
It came from the 6th floor, the unit just above Lily Simic.
It's just one woman screaming, that's it, and sadly screaming.
Police are responding to a call about a family dispute between 3 people just before 10 this morning.
The man approached officers. He had a knife, and one officer discharged and fired a single shot,
hitting the 35-year-old man in the abdomen.
I saw him was on the stretcher or whatever, and I saw the police or whatever. There was a towel or whatever here, and they pressed it a little bit. That's what I saw.
The 35-year-old was taken to Sunnybrook Hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The Special Investigations Unit is investigating, looking at body-worn footage and surveillance video.
Preliminary information suggests that the man does have some mental health conditions.
SIU says there was some initial conversation between officers and the man, and then the shooting occurred. Police confirm his mother and one sister live in the unit, and he comes and goes.
Police have been to this unit before. It's unclear at this point if there's a nexus between those interactions, if it's the same individual that we responded to in prior instances.
Jesse Aitchison lives in the unit above them.
He would just keep to himself, face down, never disruptive, never argumentative. But then again, he never really communicated or was very communal.
Police confirm he's stable and expected to survive. Both the police and SIU investigations are ongoing in parallel. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Allison. Things get heated at City Council. The failure of the City of Toronto's response to the recent heat wave prompts a proposal to bring on a heat officer. But one councillor isn't cool with the idea. That story coming up.
And speaking of heat wave, nature has turned the oven down a bit. Sure, it's still hot, but we've cooled down some. A live look this evening showing sunshine across the city. Lindsay Morrison is here with the specifics. Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, it's all relative. It wasn't as hot today, but it's still pretty warm out there right now. Temperature near 30 degrees in Toronto, feeling like 37 still at this hour, so that humidity sticking around. 31 in St. Catharines. You'll find some lakeside communities offer some relief from the heat today. Winds have been variable in nature. They're now starting to come out of a northeasterly direction and starting to pick up in strength. Overnight tonight, we expect that we will drop below 20 degrees. It'll be the first night in several nights that happens. Hopefully it's more comfortable for sleeping for many. And then a cool down comes tomorrow. All is calm right now on the satellite and radar imagery, but we are expecting periods of rain, and then into Friday, some thunderstorms. We'll take you through the forecast coming up. For now, Michelle, though, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Well, the fact some Toronto pools were closed on Sunday because it was too hot is still a hot topic at City Hall.
The mayor now considering the idea of hiring a so-called chief heat officer. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us and has the details. Natalie.
Well, Nathan, city staff say that on Sunday, 20 pools were closed for periods ranging from 45 minutes to 5 hours. The temperature outside may now have dropped, but politically, this one hasn't yet cooled off.
The heat wave may be over, but it is still summer in the city. City pools now back in action after some of them were intermittently shuttered on Sunday in the sweltering heat.
It was hot, yeah, it was super hot. I don't think that's the right thing to do. Shutting them down, that's just a dumb idea, honestly.
The mayor admitting today the city needs to do better moving forward.
The city must be better prepared for snow, heat, or other emergency weather events.
Olivia Chow calling on council to support a review of the city's heat relief strategy, which could involve appointing a chief heat officer.
Mayor Chow's response to this is always increasing staff complement, new positions to shuck responsibility and accountability. We don't need a chief heat officer. We just need people to think in advance, plan proactively, demonstrate some leadership and responsibility, and do their jobs.
But Chow insisted the pool closures won't happen again.
We actually fixed fixed the problem. It was on, like, now remember, the pools were open 2 weeks earlier. Normally all the pools, well, not all, a majority of them open up the end of June. So there was like, let's hire lifeguards now rather than. So we have hired more lifeguards.
I'm really disappointed with the mayor and the administration. You know, people depend on the city to get things right.
Critics comparing the city's inability to keep pools open in the summer to its inability to clear snow in the winter.
It begs the question of, can this administration run a lemonade stand?
City Council also being asked to consider restoring 24/7 cooling centers.
We declared homelessness an emergency in this city. You couple that with the effects of climate change and how these heat waves are hitting people.
Residents who spent the last few days trying to beat the heat, summer is here, whether the city is ready or not.
If council approves a review of the heat strategy, the report would be back at the end of this year, just as the city is getting set to start clearing the snow. Reporting live, I'm Natalie Johnson. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
All right, thank you, Natalie. One person is dead and 2 others are in hospital after a serious multi-vehicle crash in Newmarket.
The collision involved a dump truck, a tractor trailer, and a car, and it left a significant debris field in the area. Here's a look at the scene near Davis Drive West and Dufferin Street. Police say the vehicles collided around 10 a.m. One person was soon pronounced dead by first responders, while another was rushed to a trauma center with serious injuries. Another person suffered non-life-threatening injuries. York Regional Police say they'd like to hear from witnesses as they investigate the circumstances surrounding the crash. There are new details to share with you as police investigate a deadly shooting in Brampton last week. On Friday, emergency crews were called to the gunfire at an auto complex on Rutherford Road north of Steeles. They identified the victim as someone who worked there, Sharnpreet Singh. They say this was a targeted shooting, but it's not clear if he was the intended target. Later that evening, police say a dark-colored sedan they believe was linked to the homicide was set on fire in Campbellville. They're asking residents to review any dash camera or security footage they may have and report any suspicious activity.
Here in the city, police are asking for your help identifying a suspect in a suspected hate-motivated incident. They're looking for this man believed to be in his early 20s. He's about 5'10" with a medium build. Police say last Wednesday morning, a suspect approached a place of worship at Woodbine and Queen and relieved himself on the steps while shouting anti-Semitic slurs. He was wearing a dark baseball cap and a white T-shirt with an image of the band Nirvana on the back. He also had on gray shorts and white running shoes. If you recognize him, please contact police.
Still ahead with the school year, just about in the books, we take stock of whether the ban on cell phones silenced distractions. Did the move usher in a culture change, or was the signal lost? Now to a homecoming for 2 GTA hockey players after they were stranded in Israel when the conflict with Iran broke out.
Tim Payne and Brandon Lucchese sharing their account of fleeing into bomb shelters as missiles rained down. CTV's Mike Walker reports.
Canadian hockey player Timothy Payne returning to Toronto and reunited with family after he found himself caught in the middle of the Israel-Iran war.
Feeling very relieved. It's nice to be back on home soil.
The 29-year-old and his teammate Brandon Lucchese, who is from Woodbridge, touched down at Pearson Airport this morning on a flight from Jordan after a 21-hour journey.
It's definitely a life-changing experience.
They both play in the Israel Elite Hockey League and arrived in Tel Aviv 1 week before the war started. Then, as sirens started to blare, they found themselves running for safety in bomb shelters.
It was unexpected, it was scary, it was a lot. I thought we were going to be stuck there.
Iranian missiles struck a neighborhood not far from where they lived.
Destroyed a bunch of buildings, a bunch of storefronts were destroyed. So we're probably 300 meters away in our house, all windows blown out, drywall.
A huge sense of relief today for Payne's family after attempts to return home seemed almost impossible.
Beyond thrilled that he's finally made it back safely after enduring this brutality that's been going on over there.
Airspace in Israel had been closed. Both the players and Payne's family tried the Canadian embassy in Tel Aviv, but they say it was of no help.
Can't really do anything right now. Kind of find your own way and take your own risk.
You send your kids off to go and experience something like this, and then that happens, and they just basically say, yeah, you're on your own. It's very disappointing.
They ended up leaving Tel Aviv for Jerusalem and then took a bus to Jordan, where a group had arranged for a flight home.
Feel safe, happy.
Global Affairs Canada says they have helped more than 600 Canadians leave the region, while many others, including Payne and Lucchese, have left on their own.
Payne and Lucchese are among 15 Canadians who play in the Israel Elite Hockey League. They tell us some other players are making arrangements to return home, while others are choosing to stay put following news of the ceasefire. Mike Walker, CTV News.
It's a major pledge, Canada joining other NATO members in committing to boost defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035.
Today's agreement at the NATO summit in The Hague will see Canada's military defense spending nearly double. CTV's Jeremy Charon reports.
A highly anticipated historic sit-down for the NATO alliance started today with a clear message from Secretary General Mark Rutte.
For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment. And that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible.
That has been Donald Trump's pitch as he drove the charge to increase the alliance's defense spending pledge.
NATO is going to become very strong with us.
Alliance members making official today what was expected, a new baseline spending target of 5% of GDP to be reached by 2035.
This is a significant commitment in response to significant threats to our security.
The fact that we are doing this today, the fact that we're united, the fact that the United States is fully behind this, the fact that we're working together is going to reduce the threat environment 10 years from now.
3.5% will have to go to core defense spending, with a requirement to spend another 1.5% on defense-related infrastructure investments. Carney says meeting the 5% commitment would mean earmarking $150 billion a year for defense.
So yes, we'll find gaps. We'll be transparent about that. We'll make up those gaps. So the overall context of the net increase in defense spending is much less than the headline from 2 to 5.
But key to today's new pledge from the alliance, a plan to review progress in 2029, ensuring it still meets the needs of the global security landscape.
Senior government officials tell us they see an opportunity then to address whether the breakdown of 3.5 and 1.5 could be balanced differently, a change they believe could be better for Canada. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, The Hague.
3 countries launched their first astronauts in more than 40 years today, sending them on a private flight to the International Space Station. India, Poland, and Hungary shared the tab for the 2-week mission. Axiom Space arranged this deal. The Houston company put the ticket price at more than $65 million per customer. The group is expected to be in space for about 2 weeks, helping to carry out about 60 science experiments. Privately funded missions to the space station are fairly rare, but NASA routinely sends up rotating crews to keep the orbiting lab staffed. Well, the search is on for multiple suspects in Etobicoke after a cell phone store was robbed this afternoon. Officers responded to reports of this robbery just before 4 o'clock in the Queensway and Kipling area. Several cruisers were stationed outside a Freedom Mobile store, which was also cordoned off by police tape. An employee tells CTV News the store has been targeted several times.
I feel scared sometimes because last time it happened with a gun, the gun armed robbery, and then they put a gun on me. 3 times we robbed. Last time they took our cash and the dummies of the store. Before that they took all the phones, and this time they couldn't take it because I escaped from the other door.
Investigators say suspects were able to get their hands on a quantity of merchandise before fleeing in a dark-colored vehicle. No injuries were reported.
Rogers says a network outage that impacted wireless customers across the country has been resolved. Starting at around 11 a.m., users had trouble accessing their mobile phone lines and mobile internet. Third-party website downdetector.ca recorded more than 8,000 issues. Rogers subsidiary Fido also experienced an outage. By early afternoon, the company said services were fully restored. We're hearing from high school students about the impact of the first full school year of the cell phone ban in classrooms.
The ban took effect in September and wasn't without outcry, but you might be surprised at what students have to say about it now. CTV's Scott Lightfoot reports.
It is the last day of school at Humberside Collegiate Institute, and as students sign yearbooks before starting their summer, they're reflecting on their first year without having their cell phones in the classroom.
It was definitely a change because since grade 9, we've been using our phones a lot for school, even when we're not supposed to.
Starting last September, students across the province were prohibited from using their phones during class time. Inside this school, there is signage with clear direction, holders for phones in some of the classrooms, and locked charging stations in the hallway, an effort to keep the kids' attention on the subject being taught.
For the first few months, it was pretty difficult adjusting to it, but then I got pretty adjusted to it, and I actually really enjoy it now.
I mean, in all honesty, we all rely on our phones, so I guess it was a pretty big change at the beginning, but I kind of got adjusted to it, and now I don't even think about reaching for my phone during classes. I'm kind of used to it.
Well, we knew it was a culture shift for everyone.
Claudine Terrell is the school's principal. She says staff noticed students were more focused during class. She also says they noticed a behavioral shift because the new rules also blocked sites like Snapchat, TikTok, and Instagram from school Wi-Fi.
We saw definitely a decrease in incidences that apply to social media. So last year we had a lot of online cyberbullying. We had a lot of incidences where people were putting things on social media that were inappropriate, and that was reduced drastically this year.
High school students can still access their phones during breaks and outside of class time, and if they use their own data, they can still access social media. But some students say they feel the restrictions change their school experience for the better.
Social media is a huge part of our lives, and teenagers especially. So knowing that we kind of have to take a step away from that, I also think it's important for students to kind of interact in person, not only on social media. So I do think it's beneficial.
When the students return in the fall, the rules will remain in place. But as for whether they will spend less time on their phones this summer, having seen that it's possible.
Honestly, no. I would like to say yes, but it's a no.
Scott Lightfoot, CTV News.
Well, there's a new chief executive at Metrolinx.
Michael Lindsay has been the interim president and CEO and now has been formally appointed to the position. Lindsay's appointment was announced on social media by Ontario Transportation Minister Pradmeet Sarkaria, who praised Lindsay's leadership. He was formerly an executive at Infrastructure Ontario. The Metrolinx board is set to meet for the first time this year tomorrow.
A new species of dinosaur has been unveiled at London's Natural History Museum. The small herbivore lived around 150 million years ago, roaming the Earth in the late Jurassic period. It was about the size of a Labrador retriever with a long tail. Researchers say the species was from the western U.S. and lived alongside more famous dinosaurs like the Stegosaurus and Diplodocus. The fossil originates from a commercial excavation site and was bought by the museum.
Coming up, celebrating extraordinary contributions to our country. We'll take you to Rideau Hall, where some very familiar local faces were invested into the Order of Canada.
And I'm Pat Four, and coming up on Consumer Alert, it's something many of us have in our homes, a washer and dryer. If you're someone who does a load of laundry and then goes to work or to bed, be careful. There are hundreds of cases of dryers and washers catching on fire. I'll have my reports. That's just ahead.
Well, it's been a memorable couple of days. Here's a look back at the heat wave by the numbers. Almost 35 degrees at Pearson on Sunday, 36 on Monday. That was a new record. And we actually tied Pearson's record yesterday at 35.6 degrees. Downtown Toronto, the big winner yesterday, though. Environment Canada making these Tuesday records official. Tomorrow, though, what a difference. You know, this might actually be overestimating just how warm it's going to feel. It'll be a cool one. We'll take you through the forecast coming up, and stay with us. We've got another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
If you have a washer and dryer, it's always best to make sure they're in good working condition and never overload them when you're doing your laundry.
Dryer fires are more common due to a buildup of lint, which can clog vents. But did you know washer fires can happen too and be just as dangerous? Here's Pat Foran with a consumer alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. Over a 5-year period, there were more than 600 fires involving dryers and washing machines in Ontario. While most fires involve dryers, 2 viewers contacted us after their washing machines caught on fire and almost burned their homes down.
We could have all died.
Chandra Lake of Brampton says it was last fall when her 3-year-old washing machine caught on fire. Her daughter had been doing laundry and was about to leave the house to buy groceries when she noticed smoke coming from the basement. The family called 911 and firefighters were able to extinguish the blaze.
They determined that the drum might have seized and the motor was running and the friction might have caused the fire.
For Lake's family, it was a traumatic experience.
Just doing a load of laundry could have killed everyone in the house.
Before the load was finished, it essentially burst into flames.
Dominic Tetro of Cambridge says his 4-year-old washing machine caught on fire in April. Luckily, his family had 2 fire extinguishers and were able to put out the blaze. He says it's a lesson to never leave your washer or dryer operating unattended.
We're never going to leave laundry alone again.
It is uncommon, although washing machines can catch on fire, they could happen.
According to Ontario's Fire Marshal's Office, between the years of 2019 to 2023, there have been 22 washing machine fires and 648 dryer fires in the province. To avoid fires in the laundry room, check the washer and dryer cords for damage. Outlets should have ground fault circuit interrupters. Inspect and clean the lint screen after each load. Check the outdoor vent to ensure it's unobstructed, and always turn the washer and dryer off if you leave home or go to bed.
We want to make sure that we're installing our smoke alarms, testing them monthly with our families, and practicing a home fire escape plan with our families as well.
Both washing machines were LG models, but there's no indication the fires were connected, and LG is investigating. Both families still want answers, but after contacting CTV News, LG gave Tetro and Lake new washing machines.
Thank you, CTV. We appreciate the help.
I am so glad I got in touch with CTV News. I cannot thank you enough for investigating this issue for us.
And along with making sure you're home and awake when doing laundry, you should never overload your machines. It can also wear them out faster. And don't use extension cords, which can lead to overheating and also pose a fire risk. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
I was talking about the forecast. Yes, the heat wave is over, but it still is a hot one out there.
30 degrees at this hour. We got the bright sunshine, but I think over the next several days, there will be a marked change with the rain and the cooler temps.
Yeah, we've been promising some relief from the heat. It did come today. It just wasn't maybe as dramatic as we might have expected. It felt like the mid-30s as opposed to feeling like the mid-40s. So, yeah, some improvement. Tomorrow, though, you will notice more of a change. It certainly won't be as hot or humid, but we've got some active weather to accompany that change as well. I want to show you what it looked like this morning. Hey, this is a different part of the GTHA than we typically fly over. That's Dundurn Castle in Hamilton. Our friends on CP24 Breakfast did a little helicopter tour of the Golden Horseshoe today. Nice to see that. We did have some cloud cover early this morning and a few showers for the west end of the GTA and over toward Niagara. Could be a little bit of a similar situation into the day tomorrow. Here's our upper air pattern. I'm showing this just to point out mainly the direction of our jet stream. That's going to help contribute to the active weather that we get over the next couple of days here. And yes, things are going to cool down from here. 30 degrees, though, in Toronto, as Michelle mentioned. We are reaching our hottest temperature of the day at 6 p.m. It feels like 38 out there. So it's going to take us some time to eventually cool down, hopefully to a low of 19 degrees. It has been several days since we have had a low below 20. If we can get there, that will be much more comfortable for sleeping. And then it is expected that through tomorrow, we're actually going to struggle to spend a good portion of the day in the 20s. Many communities are expecting daytime highs in the upper teens. And yes, we are going to experience some wet weather. We'll talk about that in just a moment, but there's 20 degrees in Guelph, only 19 in Collingwood. And just a heads up for you, in and around Huntsville, for example, daytime high 18 and really not much of a humidex factor. Here's a look at the current satellite and radar. You are going to find a little more cloud cover this hour around Oakville, Hamilton, Grimsby and over towards St. Catharines. Lots of sunshine, though, for areas further north. Once again, we're tracking a few showers and storms across extreme southwest Ontario. Here's the low that's going to bring a widespread area, some rain into tomorrow, or at the very least, some showers. So let's give you an idea of how the timing of this is going to play out. Waking up tomorrow morning, chance of showers again. Hamilton over toward Niagara, maybe some thunderstorms embedded in there too. Watch areas east of Georgian Bay and then in through eastern sections of Ontario. That's where the rain is going to be a little steadier for tomorrow. It's a mostly cloudy day for us in the GTA with some showers expected in the afternoon. Let's jump ahead to Friday. Chance of showers in the morning. And then we've got a couple of opportunities for thunderstorms. We see that late afternoon and then perhaps into the early and midpoint of the evening hours as well. So if you have Friday night plans, maybe you're hoping to hit up a patio, good idea to have a backup indoor option just in case. We're going to keep an eye on that for you. 24 is the forecast high for Friday, so a little closer to seasonal. We're going to dry out as we make our way into the weekend. Brighter skies by Sunday, temperature back up around 28 degrees, and there's 30 degrees into the early part of next week. Keeping an eye on Canada Day. Right now, it looks like we could be in for at least the chance of a few showers. That's your look at the weather for now. I'll send it back to the desk.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay. The way prisoners are treated isn't always top of mind, but perhaps it should be. Ontario's ombudsman is exposing their poor treatment at Maplehurst Provincial Jail in Milton.
The provincial watchdog says the mistreatment was serious enough to warrant, in some cases, inmates' sentences being reduced or stayed. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has the details from this scathing report.
Ontario's ombudsman describes a correctional system in need of overhaul and fast.
The cauldron starts heating up and the pressures build.
It's a system where he says conditions have been worsening, with complaints up 55% from last year. Staff is working short-handed. Solitary confinement and lockdowns are common. And inmates are overcrowded, with some facilities at 150% capacity.
We're finding people housed in broom closets and former pantries and stuff. So the system has deteriorated. It's in crisis.
The government has promised to expand existing jails and build new ones.
They can build more jails, but if you can't get a case through trial, you'll be building jails upon jails, and those are still people who are legally presumed innocent.
That's most of the people in lockup, people who haven't been convicted of anything, even for those who have been found guilty. The ombudsman says the system is falling short of its goal of rehabilitation.
It's in our interest for those people not to come out more broken than when they went in.
This criminal defense lawyer thinks a lack of political will may be the problem.
It may be that there's a perception that the public doesn't like the idea that money is being spent on people who are in custody.
A spokesperson for the Ministry of the Solicitor General says they expect correctional staff to uphold standards. They'll review the ombudsman's report, but they're also touting record investments in the sector. Still, we know sometimes inhumane conditions behind bars can have spillover effects.
We have sentences being reduced or charges being stayed because of the breaches of fundamental rights within those correctional facilities. That's a problem. It's a big problem.
It's a scenario that played out at Maplehurst Correctional Complex in Milton in December 2023. It came after a guard was assaulted. Video obtained by the Toronto Star and shared with CTV News shows inmates being stripped down to their boxers, their wrists held back with zip ties. The ordeal lasted 2 days.
If anyone's done anything wrong, there's a process. They'll be held accountable.
The sentences of some of those inmates have been reduced because of what they endured. The ombudsman has launched a separate investigation into what happened at Maplehurst.
We hope that it's been an eye-opener, but we'll have to see whether or not it's going to have the kind of systemic impacts that we would like to see happen here.
There's no timeline right now for the ombudsman to complete his investigation into what happened at Maplehurst. He only launched it a few weeks ago, so we may be waiting a few months. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
Well, in Ottawa, there were some familiar faces at the Order of Canada investiture today.
Pinball and Diane Clemens were among the honorees. CTV's Andrea Case reports.
With all the pomp and circumstance befitting the occasion, 31 people were awarded the Order of Canada at Rideau Hall by Governor General Mary Simon.
The Order of Canada was created in our centennial year, 1967, to thank these trailblazers for their dedication to community and for their service to Canada as a whole.
In addition, 29 others received the Meritorious Service Medal for their work in a specialized field, advocacy, healthcare, research, and humanitarian efforts, which brings us to a basketball superfan.
Navdeep Singh Bhatia.
Nav Bhatia is well known for his love of the game, but it is his work off the sidelines which garnered this attention.
Toronto Raptors superfan Nav Bhatia created the Nav Bhatia Superfound Foundation to build basketball courts and host camps for kids from low-income communities. The foundation also donates sports equipment to schools in Toronto and has raised tens of thousands of dollars for World Vision Canada's Daughter of India project. Your Excellency, superfan Mr. Bhatia.
Also recognized today,
Diane Clemens and Michael Pinball Clemens are the driving force behind the Pinball Clemens Foundation, which empowers youth through education. The organization provides financial assistance to students in need and mentoring programs to help them in transition into the workforce.
The best way to honor the past is the promise of a future, right? If there isn't a better tomorrow, right, then what happened in the past is at some level in vain.
Anyone can nominate someone for the Order of Canada, and there is no deadline. The Order recognizes dedication to the community, outstanding achievement, and service to the country in all sectors of society. Andrea Case, CTV News.
Also tonight, transforming the way healthcare is delivered in the future. The federal government announces a framework to support AI-driven healthcare solutions.
A groundbreaking ceremony was held in Mississauga for a major hospital redevelopment.
The Premier, the Health Minister, and the Mayor were on hand to mark the milestone for a facility expected to provide care to more than 2 million people. The Peter Gilligan Mississauga Hospital is due to replace the current Mississauga Hospital, but it will be 3 times the size, with a planned 2.8 million square feet facility, including one of the biggest emergency departments in Ontario. With a provincial contribution of $14 billion, Health Minister Sylvia Jones says it's crucial to celebrate the work that led to shovels going into the ground.
We need to show progress. We need to celebrate success. We need to acknowledge that the donors who've stepped up, the volunteers who work every single day in our hospital system need to be acknowledged. So 100%, we need to celebrate those successes.
Construction on the new hospital is estimated to be substantially complete in 2033, with patients accepted the following year.
72 people have now fallen ill after eating salami that was recalled because of possible Salmonella contamination. The Public Health Agency of Canada released an updated notice today of an outbreak of Salmonella infections linked to several types of Rio brand Genoa salami. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency recalled the products in several provinces on June 10th. Of those infected, 57 were in Alberta, with 14 in Ontario and 1 in Manitoba. 7 people have been hospitalized since the recall was issued. Well, there's no doubt the future of healthcare is changing course because of artificial intelligence.
With that in mind, the federal government has announced AI funding for 3 separate medical companies. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
Canada is building on a tradition of innovation in healthcare, from insulin to artificial intelligence. At the University of Toronto's Vector Institute, Evan Solomon, Federal Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation, announced a new AI investment focused on healthcare.
The Government of Canada is providing $3.5 million for Vector to deliver Health Spark, which is an initiative to accelerate AI innovation in Canadian healthcare and services.
The money will go towards supporting 3 companies which specialize in different aspects of healthcare: population health data, pharmaceutical systems, and cancer pathologies.
For example, using AI to predict what potential treatments and medicines will work.
Toronto has established itself as a world leader in artificial intelligence. Elsewhere in the city today, the importance of AI in tracking the progression and treatment of vitiligo was also being discussed. In Australia, AI has identified 5 distinct types of tumor cells which respond differently to treatment, so researchers could use AI to more quickly rule out which treatments will not work on an individual.
One of the things in developing AI is you need access to a bunch of things. You need access to compute, the power to solve problems. And so today we also announced the beginning of our $300 million AI Compute Access Fund.
The Compute Access Fund will give small to medium-sized startups valuable, quick access to computing power. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
He would just keep to himself, face down, never disruptive, never argumentative. But then again, he never really communicated or was very communal.
Updating our top stories, a man is recovering in hospital after being wounded by police at a Brampton apartment building. The Special Investigation Unit says one shot was fired as the man approached with a knife. Police were responding to a call about a family dispute.
The city must be better prepared for snow, heat, or other emergency weather events.
The mayor says Toronto must do better after city pools were intermittently closed Sunday during scorching temperatures. She insists it won't happen again and wants a review of the city's heat relief strategy, which could include hiring a chief heat officer. At least one opponent at City Hall says what is really needed is advanced planning and people doing their jobs.
The fact that we are doing this today, the fact that we're united, the fact that the United States is fully behind this, the fact that we're working together is going to reduce the threat environment 10 years from now.
At the NATO summit, Canada and the other allies agreed to boost defense spending to 5% of GDP by 2035. Prime Minister Mark Carney says that would represent $150 billion a year. The alliance will conduct a review in 2029, ensuring the new pledge still meets the need of the global security landscape.
Remember to keep up to date day and night at ctvnewstoronto.ca, and you can download the CTV News app. And if you ever have a news tip, photos, or video of breaking news, let us know. Well, it looks like a nationwide strike at DHL could be coming to an end. With all the details, here's BNN Bloomberg's Morella Fernandez.
Unifor says it's reached a tentative agreement with DHL, the parcel delivery company. More than 2,000 workers have been off the job since last Friday, paralyzing the company's ability to deliver across Canada. The union won't reveal details about the deal until workers have a chance to vote on it. That's expected to happen over the next few days. The company and the union had been at odds over replacement workers and other issues. Here's how the trading day ended. The Canadian dollar is up slightly to 72.88. West Texas Intermediate is up to 64.92. Our fix on Western Canadian Select has it down more than $4 to 52.84. And the TSX dropped 152 points today, closing at 26,566. Those are your business headlines. I'm Morella Fernandez.
New forecasts suggest Canada's economy is set to take a hit this year because of the trade war with the U.S., but it won't be a worst-case scenario. Deloitte Canada says a modest recession is likely to impact the country in the second and third quarters. The report links that outcome to uncertainty and weakness from U.S. tariffs taking effect. At the same time, economists with Desjardins say the downturn would have been much worse if Canada hadn't secured exemptions from tariffs on exports that comply with the North American Trade Agreement.
Well, it's summer in the city, and Union Station has come alive with free live music and food vendors.
The annual Union Summer Market kicked off today. CTV's Jessica Smith stopped by for a preview of what's in store.
The party is on at Toronto's Union Station. The free summer-long party is located at Union Station's Front Street Plaza.
Union Summer is back for its 8th year, and we're so excited to be bringing back our favorite downtown festival.
Free summer-long party is located at Union Station's Front Street Plaza.
A community space in downtown Toronto that's just joyful and welcoming for everyone.
Union Summer is 47 days of free performances by local and international artists.
it's incredible for me, especially as a trumpet player. I love playing outside, and so I don't feel like I'm blowing up anyone's ears, and I'm just sharing the love I have in my heart.
I love audience interaction. I love getting to be up there, just like tell my stories through song and, you know, connect with everyone. So it was so cool. New faces, new setting. It was great.
And while you're tapping your toes to the music, there's a number of local food vendors to enjoy.
Union Summer runs all the way through to August 10th. For more information on all the performances and activations, you can visit torontounion.ca. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
The province has announced new funding to support staffing and expansion efforts at Toronto Pearson International Airport. $2 million will go towards recruiting, training and upskilling 450 workers for in-demand jobs and everything from safety and security and baggage handling to hospitality and customer service. Officials say the need for workers at Pearson is growing, and that trend will only speed up as the airport looks to expand. The Greater Toronto Airports Authority says the funding supports career development and training that will drive economic growth in the region through job creation. And as the province expands GO Transit service, officials say major construction has wrapped up at Bradford GO Station. Those efforts included the installation of a new bus loop with a digital display board and heated shelter. For bus and train passengers, a new pickup and drop-off area has been installed, along with additional entrances and exits and renovations to the parking lot. Metrolinx says the changes are part of its push to bring two-way, all-day, everyday service to more areas.
Max Scherzer returns to the mound for the Blue Jays as they continue their series against Cleveland tonight. The future Hall of Famer has been out since March with a thumb injury after throwing just 3 innings in his Toronto debut.
2 down. And a high fly ball to deep left center field. It's gone!
George Springer hit a grand slam en route to a 10-6 win last night. Toronto will face right-hander Gavin Williams in Game 2 of the series tonight. It will be the 5th time the teams have played this season. Both have won twice. The Toronto Scepter's Renata Fast has been chosen the PWHL's Defender of the Year. The Burlington native tied for first in scoring among defenders this past season with 22 points. She also led the league with 63 hits and all skaters with an average of over 24 minutes of ice time per game. Fast was a finalist for the league MVP award, won by Montreal Victoire captain Marie-Philippe Poulin.
A Toronto FC winger is the second highest earner among MLS players this year. The Major League Soccer Players Association says Lorenzo Insigne received a total compensation of $15.4 million, second only to Miami's Lionel Messi, who has a total annual compensation of more than $20.4 million. That is greater than the entire payroll of 21 teams. There is another TFC player in the top 10. Federico Bernardeschi earns more than $6.2 million. Just ahead, the Carousel Bakery brothers, who've been serving up Toronto's famous pea-meal bacon sandwiches at St. Lawrence Market for nearly 5 decades, are calling it a career. But don't worry, you'll still be able to get your fix.
Tonight, fleeing the deadly conflict in the Middle East.
I thought we were going to be stuck there. Glad to be back home. Yeah, nothing like home right now.
Grateful travelers back on Canadian soil while others face frustration. Later on CTV National News.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight, and a special What's Up to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
If you've been to the St. Lawrence Market, you may not know Robert and Maurice by name.
But you'll know their bakery, the Carousel, and their famous pea-meal bacon sandwich. But now, after 48 years, they're retiring. CTV's Beth McDonnell reports.
They're 2 brothers, and they've been behind the counter at Carousel Bakery inside Toronto's historic St. Lawrence Market for decades. Serving those classic pea-meal bacon sandwiches and connecting with countless customers.
Did you pick up the group all the way in, from Quebec somewhere? Or
no, I just did a city tour.
But at the end of this week, Robert and Maurice, beyond Colleen's full-time jobs running the restaurant, will turn part-time. They're passing the torch on to new owners, and come the end of July, the pair are retiring.
There's a time and a place for everything to happen, and it was
the right time to say goodbye.
We're going to try to make the best of it and help everybody carry on with the tradition and legacy that we have created over the last 50 years.
The brothers say the new family taking over the business plan to do things pretty much the same way. Keep the same staff and, of course, keep the same iconic pea-meal bacon sandwich. Tastes great. In 2016, the city named the pea-meal bacon sandwich Toronto's signature dish, a dish celebrities from Catherine Zeta-Jones to Anthony Bourdain and Barbara Streisand all tasted from Carousel Bakery. Streisand even talked about the sandwich at this concert in 2012.
We have hot dogs and sausages. You have hot dogs and sausages. However, we do not have what you call this pea-meal bacon sandwiches that I've heard so much about. I can't wait to try one on a Kaiser roll. Sounds delicious.
In the 1960s, the brothers' father, a butcher by trade, acquired Carousel Bakery. Robert later joined the business, then Morris. Many stories and memories live in this space. Here are staff in an old CTV promo. There is a lot to miss.
We've worked together 40 years.
Nobody's been stabbed yet.
The staff, of course, and the patrons that have been coming.
I think it's good for them, but I am going to miss them. That was part of my highlight coming into the market, was coming here and saying hello and being looked after so nicely all the time.
Happy retirement, and thanks for the sandwiches. That was Beth McDonnell reporting. And that is it for us. Join Omar Sechedin at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Alman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
Meantime, coverage continues anytime on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, have a great night.